The St. Lucia National Trust is a good example, where we have accessed funding from the Global Environment Facility Small Grants Program, for example, or the Caribbean Biodiversity Fund. So the EBA project, for example, is about ecosystem-based adaptations. So you're looking at how you strengthen ecosystems to do that.
There are some small scale successes when it comes to climate related projects. An example is one of the projects the Centrum of Agriculture Research in Suriname is doing is to enhance land use planning, and other ecosystems are very prone to flooding. So by doing an ecosystem classification and then the resulting suitability analysis, you can make communities more resilient to potential effects of climate change.
We do have one project, which is a reforestation project, which the Nevis Historical and Conservation Society began about 5 years ago at an area called New River Coconut Walk. It's an attempt to rehabilitate an area which had been severely eroded and had become nearly desert-like. We have been able to secure further funding after successful evaluation of the project. Many of the CSOs are not fully aware of the sources of funding. They're rather intimidated by the bureaucratic nature of many of the funding agencies. They don't have adequate experience in filling out grant proposals. The process is often complex and sometimes tedious.
I think is a structural problem. The way civil society organizations are structured, a lot of them are voluntary organizations, and people in key positions do not really have the time to immerse themselves in climate-related issues and to develop projects.
If you have a weak organization, then you have weak institutions, weak entities that are very questionable when it comes to their accounting and financial management. And so capacities on a whole is an issue that has to be addressed for civil society or small civil society organizations.
There's a lot of examples of these short-term projects, and several of them have been fairly successful. But if you're just implementing a project for a year, even 3 years, and then that's it, you're not really going to have the long-term impact that's needed. What is required is long-term programmatic work in order to have impact on people's behavior, government's behavior, private sector behavior.
Very often, as a part of an NGO who does it all the time, we write a proposal and then nobody tells you anything. They just say, sorry, you didn't get it. There's no explanation as to why or how you can improve for the next time around. Without knowing how to improve, you will get fewer and fewer and fewer persons applying for those pots of money. There are several things that I think would improve this relationship. For one thing, projects need to have a stronger section for project administration. I think very often with these projects, it doesn't seem to recognize that. It only seems to recognize the need for equipment and maybe transport and one or two staff costs. But let me tell you, having projects run effectively and efficiently requires staff. What also needs to be considered urgently is how do we support these NGOs and CSOs moving forward past the project phase? How are we building systems for sustainable financing into these projects? Are you, as the donor, providing that support?
So you need some network or organization that provides oversight of these small CSOs. Following what we do here at APAMO, we provide technical and financial oversight for our small members. And so the model we pursue is that the PAMO Secretariat serves as a central hub where we consolidate resources, we coordinate efforts and activities, whilst the smaller civil society organizations build their institutional capacities.
I think, firstly, a better job needs to be done to relate the impacts of climate change on livelihoods and on social infrastructure and on environmental matters. So, linking climate to the three pillars of sustainable development has to be done in a way that goes beyond the theoretical and begin to link it to actual impacts on people and economic processes.